Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to some of you, and good evening to very few of you as you enter into the April version of the Digital Health Symposium. We're here live in New York and getting ready to carry on today's event with a whole host of extraordinary guest speakers and panelists to talk about what is happening with digital healthcare in the pandemic world and how we're looking today at the growth of not only virtual first healthcare, but also the expansion of what's happening in the world of tech-enabled technologies and how that's growing dramatically within our COVID, post-COVID, hybrid COVID society, and being able to rapidly transform and digitize a very much an analog healthcare system that is really struggling to maintain a not only a fluency in patient centricity, but also maintain a fluidity in being able to not conduct clinical trials, manage the supply chain within the overall tech world, whether it's making sure that the digital health technologies that are out there have the right amount of chips and they have the appropriate amount of silicon needed to conduct what they're doing. We are seeing a number of issues emerge with supply chain around vaccines, and the digital health ecosystem is coming front and center to respond to those and to ensure that we're going to be able to meet those needs and put those together. We're really happy to have with us today just an extraordinary group of speakers and an extraordinary group of sponsors. We have today a group of sponsors, including Curio, Digital Therapeutics, and several others that are really helping us to promote these programs and put them together. This kinds of knowledge share that can enhance the overall ability for people like what we have coming up here with Paul Sanier and Alexia Priest to be able to come together and put together and share best practices, share protocols of how people are responding to not only some of the post-pandemic world, but much of the world, like our colleagues and our friends in India, are still fighting through mutations and variants ongoing and continuing to put really a foot first in this battle against these raging variants that are coming up and surfacing in different parts of the world, including here in the US, where we're still seeing pockets of variants take hold in specific geographic areas. And with that, we have an extraordinary agenda. Like I said, we're going to be leading off with Paul and Alexia. Again, Alexia is one of the digital health industry's leading business development and licensing professionals on life sciences side. Alexia has been doing these sorts of partnerships in digital health long before digital health existed as a term. And she is just an extraordinary luminary in this area. And she'll be interviewed by Paul Sanier, who of course is one of the leading experts in digital health globally. Then I'll be interviewing Richard Hanbury from the extraordinary company Sana Healthcare. He'll be walking us through some major developments that Sana has seen over the last few months. We'll then be stepping into one of digital health's leading blockchain technologies called BlockCube, and the founder and a former Novartis executive, Rama Rao, will be talking about the latest and what's happening with BlockCube. And then Bill Taranto will be interviewing Darwin Dinstein from the Entree Capital Group and talking a little bit more about where they're investing and where hot investors are going these days. And we'll have a terrific panel led by Don Jones, again, one of the San Diegans, along with Paul Sanier, out of that original kind of Qualcomm, Wireless Life, UCSD, San Diego County ecosystem. Don is going to be leading a panel with one of the medication adherence platforms and leaders in the world, Dean Brotzel, the Chief Technology Officer with Information Mediary Corporation. And then with that, we'll also have Patricia Verduden, who's the Chief Technology Officer from Colgate as well. And so Patricia and Dean and Don will be talking about the virtual first and the remote patient monitoring and the remote diagnostic technology systems that are evolving between dentistry and healthcare and intelligent medication platform usage and passive data that Dean leads at Information Media Corporation. And then I'll be interviewing Glenn Tolman. For those of you who don't know who Glenn Tolman is, he is the only triple unicorn in digital health history, having started up and sold a company to HBOC, now part of McKesson, and then started up and a terrific story with Allscripts, one of the world's leading electronic health records company. And then just recently having started up and then exited and IPO'd and then exited Livongo with Teladoc. Glenn's going to give us an idea about how he's been so successful. And in talking with him extensively, he's been one of the faculty leaders at the Columbia Business School digital health program that I lead. And Glenn's been amazing at being able to adapt rapidly within the healthcare ecosystem in his 3 startups, in his 3 unicorns. And he's going to talk about the secret to that success and the art and the science of the pivot. And then we'll hear from someone outside the healthcare industry. Michael Volmentag from Mercedes-Benz. He's the lead of the innovation team there. And he's going to walk through a little bit about some best practices that Mercedes incorporates in their quest to become and really be the most innovative auto manufacturer out there. And we'll then dive into a panel with 3 leaders that are jumping into and have really shown a penchant for what's happening with women's health. Christine Mulholland, Sheila Collins, and Sumit Kumar Nagaral from Cherish Health, AARP, and Epiture. And after that, we'll have a review and interview with the Chief Medical Officer, Paul Kamanandan from Quanta Dialysis Technologies. And then after that, at 1:30, a terrific panel with Eliza Ng from Curio DTX and Jenny Tang, who's a professor at OBGYN Mount Sinai, and again, the Dr. Karen Petruski, who's a physician and a leader in OBGYN here in the New York metropolitan area, who's now founded a disruptive healthcare technology platform for women's health called Verbena Care. And then at 1:50, we'll wind up with one of the clinical leaders of this digital renaissance that we're seeing in medicine, the Chief Medical Officer, Uro, which just finished off a $500 million round, Melinda Barnes. And so that will be just a terrific way to wind up a wonderful day of sharing around the digital health ecosystem. But most of all, we really do want to thank our terrific sponsors for the Digital Health Symposium, which include a number of digital health and virtual health companies. Epiture, one of the leaders in age tech; Metadata, the $5 billion company from New York City that has transformed electronic data capture, has about 70% of the electronic data capture market there. Remember Stuff, which is a platform for age tech as well. LiveCare, another New York City company, again, huge in remote patient monitoring. Medacity, the connectivity play that if you don't know about them, again, contact me on LinkedIn, and happy to introduce you to them. And Curio DTX, you'll hear from them later today. And HealthX Solutions. HealthX is one of the leaders also in remote patient monitoring and tying together companies throughout the country, clinics throughout the country with their patients at home. So we also want to announce that we're super excited at HitLab to announce the 5th class of disruptive innovations from the Breakthrough Alliance. So if you don't know about the Breakthrough Alliance, it's a innovative consortium of payers, providers, health tech companies, government agencies, life science companies, and venture firms that have come together to form a consortia that is focused on not only identifying what's going to be the most diffusive innovations, but helping accelerate the optimal diffusion of those innovations into the ecosystem without taking equity from the companies, without charging the companies any fees for participating in the program. So again, follow up and look forward to that Again, if you have any questions about Breakthrough Alliance, feel free to contact me. That alliance, by the way, is chaired by Bill Toronto, the head of the Merck Global Innovation Fund, who you will hear from later today in an interview.